Colts fans, welcome to episode 3 of the Colts Unplugged pod. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name's Logan, or Profan Logan, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Ati Logan.
Woo!
Welcome back. Back like we never left. You know what I mean?
Like we never
Monday,
left.
Thursday, the week goes by so quick when we're awaiting the Buffalo Bills inside Lucas Oil Stadium. How are you feeling about the matchup coming up? Just getting right into it.
Oh my God, I know. And first of all, Colts fans, we told you we're going to be live, recording, releasing a podcast every Monday and Thursday. So if you're here, we appreciate you guys. How
Yes,
do I
sir.
feel? I feel scared. To be honest, we're going up against a quarterback that we all wanted Anthony Richardson. We all expect Anthony Richardson to look like. It's kind of like his prototype. It's what we're hoping for that he turns into. But Josh Allen is a beast. He's playing high level of football right now. I think he's playing the best football that he's played over the past couple of years. Ever since he's been in the league, he's up there. The interceptions have been down. He's using his legs. He's using his arm. I really thought that the pass catchers were going to struggle. The Buffalo Bills pass catchers after losing Stephon Diggs this year, but I think Logan, me and you, we both create content on the side. We both still had the Bills winning the AFC East, and I think it shows. They're 6-2. They're there for a reason. Big thing I think for this game, is outside of just the offense. I think we'll talk about the offense a little bit, but just on the defensive side of the ball, we give up a lot of yards to tight ends. And you know who's coming into town? We got the dual-headed monster. We got Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox, more so, Kincaid, more than anything. We gave up a lot of yards, a lot of fantasy points to Jonnu Smith a couple of weeks ago, another AFC East contender. And so that's a big thing for me is, hey, how can we stop their pass catchers? How can we stop Josh Allen? How can we stop them throwing to the tight end? Can the linebackers cover at a high level? That really is the biggest thing for me. One thing that's good, they'll most likely be without Keon Coleman, who is their, I believe, second pass catcher. The only reason I know this is because I have him in the Walter Picks 32-team fantasy football league, and I will not be starting him. I traded him. So that's one thing to look forward to. They're without Keon Coleman. But I guess, what are your thoughts about this game? How are you feeling?
Yeah. So at this point in the season, I think we mentioned it on episode 2. I'm kind of torn because we're putting Joe Flacco out there again, right? Steichen announced that. I don't know. It's weird because, again, we said it before. I would love the Colts to do what they normally do, which is play up to their competition, right, and get a dub as a fan. But I'm also like, I don't know how much good that will do with the gauntlet moving forward. It would just put them back at 500. So I think what you said about stopping Josh Allen, I think more or less it's about slowing Josh Allen down because I don't
Love
think
that.
there is a
Yep.
stopping Josh Allen.
Yep.
He's like you said, right now. I think as it stands, if voting happened today, I do believe that he is the betting favorite for MVP. So he's having a lights out season. The one knock, as you mentioned, that people had about Josh Allen was that he turned the ball over too much, right? He was careless with the ball. He has 2 interceptions this year, lowest of his entire career, to this point. So, he's playing excellent ball. And then this is a Bills team that scares me a little bit too, Addy, because they can run the football. They are actually a run first, run heavy, I would say, argue this year, type of football team when they need to be, right? And James Cook, he can run it up. He can run it up on you, and
Dog.
they've got a good combination between him and the rookie Ray Davis as well. So I don't know. I would look for those couple areas where the Colts have struggled all year. I think the Colts have struggled on defense with the running game, and they've struggled with giving up a lot of yards. Those are both things that the Buffalo Bills have shown that they can do really well. So that's a little scary on the defensive side. On the offensive side, I don't know what to expect still because I do think that the Joe Flacco game was still a bit of an anomaly because
I hope.
you know, uh, we thought he, might have a chance to play bad. I guess against a really good Flores defense, right? In the Vikings, but I didn't think he would play that bad. I really didn't. That was like worst offensive performance of the year, as we talked about. So I don't know. I don't know what to expect. The Bills' defense is not what it used to be, what it's been in the past few years, right? Um, and they definitely have some holes. They give up quite a few yards. Um, they, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure they're in the back half of total defense. I don't think they're in the top ranking of total defense in the NFL this year. If you could fact check me on that podcast, but I'm pretty sure I saw that they were towards the bottom half there as
Mm-hmm.
far as yards allowed and things of that nature. So we'll see. Again, I think first and foremost, if the Colts can, I think it comes down to Jonathan Taylor. Again, I don't know if Shane Steichen knows or remembers that he has Jonathan Taylor as a running back. Sometimes I think he forgets in the third quarter, but it's going to come down to him. If he can get rolling
Yeah,
early and keep care of the ball, not turn the ball over, and get him rolling early and get your playmakers involved early. Get Josh Downs involved early. Get Taylor involved early. Maybe sprinkle in an Alec Pierce deep ball, down the field because
please.
Flacco can throw the deep ball.
Yep.
Then I think they'll have a shot, but we'll see. I think it's either Colts win in a very very tight victory or the Colts get blown out. I don't think there's either. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any in between,
Well, if I was
just
if
because
I
of
was
how
a
good
betting
this Bills
man,
team is.
if I was a betting man, which I am, and I suck, so please don't listen to me. I would expect this. I would expect this to be a one-score game because every single game so far has been a one-score
Okay,
game
yeah, yeah,
for the Indianapolis Colts. So if I was a betting man, I'd probably lean. I'd probably lean that way. Even though this is definitely has like blowout written all over it. And imagine the fans, man. All those posters that say "Free AR5" hashtag Free AR5 in Lucas Oil. All the booze that will be raining down if they get blown out, man. But Logan, you hit the nail on the head. The key to this game Jonathan Taylor. Why do I say this? Because the Bills are
mm-hmm.
ranked like 25 or 26 in rushing defense. They're allowing like 4.8
Yep.
yards per carry, right? Somewhere up there with the Colts defense, actually. Jonathan Taylor needs to capitalize. We need more than just inside zone runs. We need outside runs. We need jet sweeps with Ashton Doolin and Adonai Mitchell. We need outside runs where you're pulling the guard. Those runs where Quentin Nelson gets pulled out to the outside. I love that. That's like an automatic
Yes,
7 yards, I feel like
yes,
every single time. So we need more of that. Second thing, Shane Steichen has never, I believe, fact check me on this guy. Shane Steichen in his Indianapolis Colts era as head coach has never lost 3 games in a row. We're coming up on 3 games here, I believe. So better figure it out because we got Houston 2 weeks ago that we lost to. We got the Vikings last week. Now we got this additional to the gauntlet, the Buffalo Bills. So that's one thing to look forward to. And then Gus Bradley, too. We talked about this in the last pod. We've been kind of big Gus Bradley critics. I think most of Colts Nation has been in the first couple of weeks. He figured his shit out. Like he's kind of like it reminds me. I don't know about you. It reminds me of Matt Eberflus. Kind of like that bend don't break. Hey, I'm going to give up a lot of yards, but they're going to result in like a fourth down at the 50-yard line, or they're going to result in field goals and the occasional touchdowns here and there. But that's
yeah,
Josh Allen is Josh Allen. But I like that. I like that they're switching to kind of that defensive scheme where it's like bend don't break. We're going to give up a lot of yards. We're not going to give up a lot of touchdowns. We might give up field goals, but it puts the Colts offense in a position to succeed. And we better see something, man. We better see something out of that
yeah.
offense. For me, our left tackle Bernard Ryman is back. He was out last week. Josh Downs only played about
That's
50%
big.
of the
Yeah.
snap. Exactly. Josh Downs only played 50% of the snaps last week because they needed some edge help. Against the Vikings pass rush. So I expect Josh Downs snaps to go up to around that hopefully 80+% range. We need him. Need him to ball out, especially with Michael Pittman's injury. He'll probably still play. He's a dog. That's kind of where I'm sitting in terms of just evaluating.
Yeah, great stat pull there for the Bills as far as them giving up a lot of yards rushing. That's a great point. That really hammers it home even more that Jonathan Taylor needs to have a big game. You mentioned the Colts being that bend don't break defense. I couldn't agree more. That's exactly how I would classify them, especially the last few weeks. They actually ranked 12th. They ranked 12th in the NFL for points allowed, right? So they're towards the bottom in total yards. They might be like 28th or 29th, I believe, in total yardage given up on defense. But you're right. They give up a lot of yards, and then they sort of either hunker down and make the other team punt. They hunker down and make the other team kick a field goal. They're not giving up a ton of touchdowns. They really aren't. At least the past like 4 or 5 weeks, I would say. Um, so that's going to be definitely key again. You can't let the Buffalo Bills really get into the end zone early, get up early, 14, 21 points. You don't want them to have like 21 or 28 going into halftime. That would be a
Brutal.
recipe for disaster for sure. Yeah, and this Buffalo Bills team is capable of doing that. I was just looking that they are fifth right now in total points and points scored right on offense. So they put up they average like 30 points a game. It's like 29.8 points a game.
Yep.
So they are capable with Josh Allen under the helm of of putting up 30 plus, and that has not worked out very well for the Colts. If you look at the rest of the season, anytime a team, I don't know if they've won a game where a team put up more than 30. I think anytime a team has gone over 30, I believe they've lost.
Yeah.
Is
Last
that
time I
that was the
remember was the Jacksonville
Jaguars
game.
game?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, giving up more than that 28 or 30 mark. I mean, if you give up more than that, it's hard to win in the NFL in general. So
Yeah.
um, that's going to be
I
the key is definitely getting a couple turnovers and playing really good red zone defense once again. So
I totally agree. Turn Josh Allen into what Josh Allen used to be, a really good quarterback, but he throws the ball. He throws a lot of picks, and that's kind of what we need Josh Allen
mm-hmm.
to be. Good news, right? We talk about this bend not break defense. We talk about Gus Bradley blitzing like over 30% of the time in some pretty unique, pretty cool blitz packages. I love that. Um, I love that a lot, actually. And then we're talking about, you talked about the yardage per games, but hey, Colts, I think, are like top 4 or top 5 in turnovers. Taking the ball away on the
Yeah.
defensive side of the ball. So that's
Yep.
huge, especially when you're playing a quarterback like Josh Allen. Make him uncomfortable. Make him throw the ball. Make him throw the ball early. Blitz him enough. He throws the ball early. Don't let him escape the package. Have some type of security blanket there, but make him throw the ball to you.
I was gonna say you can definitely do that too. Yeah, that's one area I look back over the last few years, at least the Ballard era, and the Colts defense does tend to struggle against mobile quarterbacks. Like if you look back, I'm pretty sure the stats on that would be crazy. Like they've struggled heavily against like Lamar Jackson. They've struggled against even Justin Fields this year, right? Where
Right.
he had like a career day. So that is where I'm a little scared of Josh Allen getting outside that pocket because the Colts can bring pressure, right? They've
Yep.
got DeForest Buckner, they've got Grover Stewart inside who can really get that push. But Josh Allen is one of the best in the business at extending the play, running to the outside, throwing that 40 or 50-yard bomb that he has the arm. Probably only him and a few other quarterbacks in the league have the arm that he does. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely a little worried about that. If Josh Allen starts running all over the yard and has like 100 yards rushing or some crazy stuff, like that's not going to be good either. So
Yeah.
I almost would hope that the Colts, that Gus Bradley understands that going into the game and maybe puts like a quarterback spy on him. You know what I mean? Like maybe use EJ Speed or Franklin or somebody to sort of be that guy in the middle that's sort of watching for that
Yeah.
Josh Allen scamper to the outside because that could
Yeah.
that could get ugly. That'd be a long day.
No, I totally agree, and I think this is one of the I say this and I knock on wood. I think this is one of the easier tests for the secondary. They'll have, I don't know if they'll
Mm-hmm.
have Amari Cooper. I think they will be. He's recovering from that wrist injury, the same thing that Keon Coleman is dealing with, which it seems like he might be out
Mm-hmm.
multiple weeks unless he's tough and plays through it. But you got Amari Cooper there. You got Dalton Kincaid. You got Shakir, who's been kind of like that PPR slant boy, Amon Ra, Michael Thomas, Merchant kind of feel is how they're kind of playing him in that slot. Um, and so he's something to look out for. But it's not like they got Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill and
Right.
Achan in the backfield. It's not like they got a bunch of dogs back there. So this should be, and I say relatively easy with a sense of respect. It should be a little bit of easier. battle for the secondary, which we hope so. One thing I'm also looking into is Colts fans, and Logan, I'm sure you saw this. I think we talked about this too. Ryan Kelly put on IR. Looks like he's going to be out for about 4
Mm-hmm.
games or so, at least 4 games. Looks like he will come back during the season, but I really hope Bortolini takes his spot for the for the remainder of the season. I mean that
Bortolini.
Bortolini. I mean that guy's been balling out. Like as a rookie, like to have his PFF grade be as high as it is on the pass and the rush side of the equation, like that's just awesome to see. He's outplaying Ryan Kelly respectfully. And so, I
Oh
think he's
yeah.
going to show in the next 4 years. Like I'm retaining the starter spot. Ryan Kelly, I'm sorry we don't need you. Let's actually develop our young guys. Let's develop AR
Mm-hmm.
like we're developing Bortolini. So that's one thing that I hope for. I want Bortolini to ball out. I mean, he's allowed minimal pressures over the last, I think, 2 or 3 games that he's started. So we'll have to continue that trend, to see that trend.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I looked at a lot of tweets on Colts Twitter specifically, and a lot of the Colts media personalities were really trying to figure out why the run game has maybe been stalling a little bit the past few games, and it
Yep.
seemed like the big circle, the big X was always on Ryan Kelly. He wasn't getting the same push. He wasn't getting the same type of blocking that he normally was. He was really getting pushed around and getting bullied quite a bit.
Really
And
was. Yeah.
the D tackle was really kind of just the nose tackle was kind of just barreling over him a lot of plays. He really wasn't getting any push, especially in the Vikings game. That was probably the worst that we'd seen yet, and
I wonder, was
it makes
part of it
sense,
the
right?
injury?
He's injured.
Yeah, I was
I'm
going to
sure it
say.
had to have been. He had to have been dealing with something, yeah, for sure. Because yeah, it was pretty apparent that he was not getting any push off, and he wasn't blocking like he normally is. Normally, you
Yeah.
you see him at least pushing the pile forward. But yeah, I like that Bordellini's going to get in there again just because he's played so good. Um, I love that we get Ryman back. That's going to be huge.
Oh, thank
He's been
God.
playing really well as well. Yeah, so the offensive line I think will be back to more of a normality, right? So JT should be able to take advantage of that this week if our boy Shane Steichen
Please use him.
decides to actually give him the ball. You pay
Please
him
use him.
$16 million a year, Shane. You gotta give him the rock.
You got to give him the rock, man.
Give it
Come
to
on.
him.
Please, man. Please. But no, I'm really excited for this game. I think a big thing about this too, if we're talking about stats, you lose this game, you have a 28% chance of making the playoffs. You win this game, you have a
Mm,
54% chance of making the playoffs. Now, of course, we are Colts fans as much as we want to see our young quarterback develop. And yes, I'm sad about it. Logan can speak on his behalf. I'm very sad about it, but I still want to make the playoffs. Like if we're playing Joe Flacco, like at least, dude, make the playoffs, make this season somewhat worthwhile
yeah.
for Colts to enjoy. If you don't make the playoffs and you start Joe Flacco and not develop Anthony Richardson, it's like, what's the fucking point? So I think this is a big, big, big game. You get the Buffalo Bills at home in the Loud House. So that's exciting. That's exciting. Colts play
Loud
well at home
house.
this year. So would love to see that trend continue.
So to that point, though, real quick, I wanted to ask you. Again, I'm not trying to jump on the fire train, but I'm thinking with the mind of Jim Irsay right now. Okay, so
Oh God.
that's a different mindset than the mind of you or I. So the question I would ask you is, from the perspective of Jim Irsay, though, how how do you justify if this was a Steichen decision? Okay, if it was 100% a Steichen decision to bench AR, let's say the Colts really struggle for the latter half of the season, and let's say they only win maybe a game or two more. Right? There's a
Yeah.
possible world. It's possible with the gauntlet that's coming up.
Yeah.
If that does happen, in the eyes of Jim Irsay, how do you not look to Steichen and say, you were so confident about taking out our franchise quarterback because you thought that you could bring in Joe Flacco and make the playoffs, right? That's the only reason that you would play Joe Flacco
Yep.
is if the Colts make the playoffs.
Yeah.
If they don't sniff the playoffs, I don't know, man. There could be hell to pay in the eyes of Jim Irsay. I could see him he's made drastic moves in the past, and I'm
He
just
has.
saying like that's a pretty big move to bring in a veteran guy and to not sniff the playoffs. So
Yeah. Listen, I
I
think
think this game is really important because if they lose, man, I mean you're sitting at 4-6.
yeah.
You really can't. You have like almost no margin for error anymore to make the playoffs. They'd basically have to win out besides maybe one more loss
Yeah.
in order to get to the playoffs at that point. So
100% agree, but I think, if regardless of if this was a Shane Steichen decision or not. And I think we can get into that because I think, Jeff Saturday, I believe, was, on air today on ESPN, and he was talking about this situation
mhm.
and was like, this is an upper management thing. I don't agree with it at all. You should have kept keen to start AR. And he said, quotes, someone is trying to save their job. And for me, when someone's saying that, if I'm thinking about who's trying to save their job right now in the organization, is it the coach that's been there for a year and a half, or is it the GM that's been there for 8 years and has never won a divisional title? Or sorry,
it's,
the
it's
GM. Yeah,
probably Ballard.
it's
Yeah,
probably Ballard, right? So I would say,
yeah,
more than anything, I think Ballard is in jeopardy because I think it was his decision. But if hypothetically, let's say, as Shane Steichen mentioned, hey, it's on me. It's my decision to play Joe Flacco. Let's say, he's being honest after that coach speak. I still think it's a mistake to fire Shane Steichen. I talked about
I
this
do
in the
too.
last
Yeah,
pod. Yeah, I talked
hmm
about this in the last pod. Head coach Carousel is essentially as worse, is if not worse than having a QB carousel. I think we have the
yeah,
guy. I think he's having a bad year. He's having a down year. It's kind of like quarterbacks. You kind of see ups and downs, and you see the highs, and you're like, wow, like this is what this coach can be. That's kind of how I view Shane Steichen. Like I saw him last year with Gardner Minshew, the plays he was dialing up, the 4 games with Anthony Richardson. I was like, wow, like this is what can be. I'm not going to give
yeah.
up on that. I think it's just like for some reason, it's just like a down year, even though we had big expectations. He's been a good play caller for his entire career, developed a bunch of young quarterbacks like Hurts, Phillip Rivers, Justin Herbert. So I think it's got to be something, some outlier, but I wouldn't be shocked if Jim Irsay made the rash decision to fire Shane Steichen, but I would not appreciate it, and I do not think it's the right decision to fire him after year two.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great thought point on the Ballard slash Steichen thing. I don't know what it is, but I do have a weird feeling that Jim Irsay has a closer connection for some reason, like that, or a closer liking to Ballard than he has any of his head coaches recently, because it does seem like Ballard gets a little bit longer of a leash in
Oh,
my opinion.
100%.
And I agree with you. I think somebody has to fall on the sword though. That's all I'm the only point I'm making is someone is going to have to fall on the sword. I don't know who that somebody is
If you don't make the
necessarily
playoffs.
yet. If we don't make the playoffs, yeah, and like let's say they do it in semi embarrassing fashion, right? Like let's say they miss the playoffs by 2 or 3 games or even 4 games. I think someone's going to have to fall on the sword. I would hope as well that it's Ballard. Personally, I've personally wanted
Yeah.
Ballard gone for a while. Um, I also personally hope that it's not Shane Steichen. I just hope that Ursay is able to see past. Hey, this new guy comes
Tunnel
in and this
vision.
struggle happens or whatever right away and makes like tunnel vision decision. Yeah, so yeah,
It
someone's going to have to really pay big bucks in the form of
it
getting fired if if they
yeah.
don't make the playoffs.
And it really sucks because I know you've been off the Ballard train for a while. I know we just met like, 4 months ago, but still I kind of know that we've been talking about it. But um, I've been on the defend Ballard train forever. I'm just like, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. You have a guy that can draft and develop well, or that can draft well in the third, fourth, fifth round, get some good undrafted free agents. Kenny Moore. You talk about Jalen Jones in the seventh, Zaire Franklin in the seventh, EJ Speed in the late
hmm
rounds. Like he's developed some good guys. Bernard Ryman, the franchise left tackle in the fourth round. I love that, but at the same time, maybe I'm wrong, but can we name like one GM that's sustained his job for 8 years and has never won the division ever in his tenure? Like
It,
I,
it would be hard to find, yeah.
I'd have to look into it. Like that's a cool stat to look into. Maybe StatMuse can help us with that.
hmm
But like, I don't think I remember one. And I think the leash is expired. I think if you don't make the playoffs this year, especially if this was a Ballard decision to save his job
hmm
to start Flacco, um, silly decision from based on everything that they've said in the past, saying we got to develop this guy. I think honestly, starting AR extends their leash. Like it extends Chris Ballard's leash because we know AR is a project QB. He's a development QB that extends his leash. So at the same time, I'm not really sure like why would he want to start Joe Flacco to save his job when the easiest way to save your job is to start a raw project quarterback that you knew was going to take years.
Yeah, it reeks of like a Ursay sort of coming in and saying, "Hey, we need to win this year." Like it really does. I
Yeah, it
think
really does.
that's the only thing that I can think that it does because I'm like, why would they pull the plug so quickly? If you're right, it does actually extend Ballard's grace period. So it had to have been like, hey, we have way too much flack. We haven't won the division in 8 years, like you said, and haven't made the playoffs in a while. We literally need to make the playoffs this year, or that's it.
We're
So
fucked. Yeah. Yeah. 100%
I
agree.
could definitely see
Um,
that happening too.
yeah. Real quick, I want to get you. I know before we hop off, I want to get your score predictions. Real quick, Adi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
What
do
do you
it.
think? What do you think this game's going to look like? And actually, two things. One, I want to get your score predictions, and I think two, I want to hear what you think Lucas Oil Stadium is going to be like on Sunday after
Ooh,
back-to-back losses and the benching because this is the first time we're
yeah,
seeing them since the benching.
kind of the vibes. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Mm, I do think that the. I'm not gonna pick against this Bills team. Honestly, I just can't because I think the Bills are as advertised. They're a very good football team, and Josh Allen's playing really well. Unless the only way it would have to be something where it's like the Colts legitimately play up to their competition and play much better, like much
Five
better than
touchdown
what they've
J-
been playing.
five touchdown game out of JT last time. Could happen.
That's exactly like something. That's what I'm saying. Like something out of the ordinary would have to
Yeah.
happen, in my opinion, for the Colts to get this victory. I'm gonna go. I like maybe a touchdown game, like you said. I don't think maybe as close as like a field goal, but
Hmm.
probably within a touchdown because the Bills playing a lot of close touchdown games as well.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go. I do think the Bills put up more than more than 30. I think that if
Oh
you hit
wow.
that sweet spot of that 30 ball, I think that's where you get in trouble. So I'm gonna go 31 Bills, 24 Colts.
Okay. 7 point
24
game.
Colts. I I think I think the Colts actually have the lead going into the third quarter, and then the Bills start to kind of take
Figure their
over a
shit out.
little bit, and yeah, they start to really ramp it up.
Yeah. I give me the Colts to cover. Give me the Colts +5, but give me the Colts to lose. I'm gonna take Bills money line. I'm gonna go Bills 24, Colts 20. So I think Colts lose by 4
Okay.
points at home. I don't really know. Actually, I know exactly what Lucas Oil is going to be like. It's going to be a bloodbath in regards to the fans. It's going to be a lot of booing. It's going to be a lot of Jacksonville in 2021 with a clown mask and the bag over your head saying, sell the team, sell the team, sell the team. Um, I think that's what it's going to be if we lose. If we win, I think there's still going to be mixed emotions,
Yeah.
but every Colts fan's going to be happy they at least, beat a good team, beat a Super Bowl caliber
Yeah.
team, won. But yeah, what about you? Lucas Oil.
I
Are
will
you going,
I will
by the way?
agree with yeah. I don't think so unless I could find like some cheap tickets or something. But I'll definitely be watching the game pretty nearby.
Yeah.
Uh, I will say this. Yeah, Flacco's under a lot of pressure, bro, in that offense because if they don't perform quickly, there's going to be a hangover from the Vikings performance and
Yup.
people are not going to be happy. Like I'm talking if the first couple drives if they go 3 and out or something, dude, the Boo Birds are going to be out. Like I'm telling you, it's going to
Good
be
thing they
rough.
have good drives. I will say Flacco and Steichen, they
Mhm.
always do good on their first drives. They always score a touchdown or a field goal, except for last week because of that fumble. But they were driving last week
The
still.
fumble, yeah.
Even before the
Mhm.
fumble, they were driving. So I expect a big first drive. I expect second and third quarter sadness. And then I expect elite level fourth quarter, but come up short 24-20 for the Bills to
It
win.
sounds about right for Flacco for sure.
Yeah, right.
Man.
You,
Well,
you got
any
anything else
last
you want
any
to add?
last words you got for the listeners? I don't think so. Just obviously, like we really appreciate all the support, guys. For real, we're trying to take this thing as far as we possibly can and give you as much content as we possibly can. Make sure to follow us on all of our social platforms, especially our TikTok page where we post a lot of videos, and our YouTube. It's just at Colts Unplugged Pod on all platforms there. And yeah, super excited to. We'll have another episode, like Addie said, on Monday, sort of recapping the Bills game and hopefully be talking about a dub. Am I right?
I hope so. And real quick, Colts fans, Logan and I were actually talking right before we started recording. He was mentioning me the stat. A lot of podcasts end after the 10th episode. And I promise you, Colts fans,
Yep.
we're not going to be one of them. Stick with us. We're going to be here for years. I'm putting words in Logan's mouth because I believe we're actually going to be here for
Let's do
years.
it. Oh,
I think he believes that too.
I believe it.
So come join us, man,
Yeah.
on this journey. We're excited to have y'all.